welcome back to another video. My name is Sophie from Third Eye Traveller and I make magical videos from places that feel like a fairy tale. Today I'm here in Bristol and I've just checked into the DoubleTree by Hilton because I'm going on a really exciting adventure around South Wales with Rabbie's tours. So we're going to be heading to incredible magical places in Wales like St David's, the smallest city in Britain, Tenby with its colourful houses, castles like Laugharne and Carreg, and also the magical book town of Hay-on-Wye as well, which is perfect for book lovers. And I'm really excited to take you along. I've checked into the DoubleTree by Hilton because we're getting picked up here tomorrow for our tour, and I thought it was easier to start off here and then just feel very relaxed in the morning. Anyone who's driven on the M4 in the morning to Bristol knows that the traffic can be an absolute nightmare, so I thought better to stay in Bristol for the night and then start this magical adventure. And I can't wait to take you with me. It's gonna be 3 days of the mountains, castles and coasts of Wales. I wanted to say a massive thank you to Rabbie's Tours for sponsoring this trip. It was very kind of you to ask to invite me, and I just thought I'd let my audience know that Rabbie's are sponsoring my trip. But I have been with Rabbie's in the past and I absolutely love their tours, so I am honoured to be partnering with them today. So I just want to say a big thank you before we begin. Okay, so here is the room at the DoubleTree. It's very nice and spacious. It's got a big TV and my luggage is there, wardrobe, and a lovely modern bathroom here with a shower. Very nice, and yeah, very excited. Hello. So yeah, this is it again. And yeah, this is my room for the night, and I'm going to be picked up straight outside the entrance. So I haven't got any time at all, can just have a leisurely breakfast and then head down to the bus in the morning. And of course, one thing I always love about staying at the DoubleTree is you get these amazing warm cookies on reception. So always make sure to take the cookie because they are absolutely delicious. So our 3 days in South Wales tour started and ended in Bristol, which is a famous industrial city in the southwest of England. You can easily get there from London by direct train or coach. If you have the time, I would recommend spending a day in Bristol before your tour begins, as there's a lot to see and do here. I visited St Mary's Church in Radcliffe and had a little look around the wharf. This is traditionally a pirate area, and you can visit the Hatchet Inn, which is apparently where Blackbeard the pirate drank, and their door is apparently made out of human skin, which is a pretty grim thought. I then went to the Christmas steps, which almost looks like Diagon Alley, and then ended up in Clifton Village to see the incredible suspension bridge. I even got to see a full rainbow, which I think is pretty rare, so I felt pretty lucky here. But yes, Clifton has some of the best views in Bristol of the Avon Gorge and the incredible suspension bridge built by Isambard Kingdom Brunel. You can also see pretty streets like the Royal York Crescent. And I do recommend having a pint in the Langdogger Trough. This is on the Treasure Island Trail, as it's the birthplace of the story. I then went to bed and had breakfast in the Kiln restaurant at the DoubleTree by Hilton and had a big breakfast to start my day of exploring. I then waited in reception as my Rabbie's tour was going to pick me up right outside the entrance. Okay, so it's day 2 and I'm just waiting outside the hotel to get picked up for my Rabbie's tour. They pick you up straight from the DoubleTree by Hilton in Bristol City Centre hotel reception. So yeah, I'm just waiting to get picked up and then we should be starting this 3-day in South Wales tour. So right on time, we were picked up by our Rabbie's coach, and what I loved is that these Mercedes-Benz coaches are small 16-seater coaches. So you're not in a big group, you're not herded around, you're in a comfortable coach with a small group, and that meant that as well as the big destinations, we could visit some smaller and hidden gems too. So we made our way on the M4 motorway over the Severn Bridge and headed into Wales for our 3 days in South Wales tour, where we're going to be exploring the mountains and coasts. I have to admit there is a lot of driving on your first day, but there are lots of awesome stops planned along the way, and one of them is St Fagans National Welsh History Museum. Here you can uncover over 2,500 years of Welsh culture in their informative museum and historic village. The village is filled with old buildings that were going to be demolished and then were lovingly rebuilt here to immortalise them, and it was like travelling back in time. We then had a little look around St Fagans Castle and Gardens, which is a stunning 16th century manor house that was donated to the people of Wales by the Earls of Plymouth. I couldn't believe that all this incredible history was completely free to explore, and you can visit their friendly cafe for a coffee and cake before you set off again on the road to your next stop. We then made it to the county of Pembrokeshire and stopped in the pretty market town of Narbeth as a lunch stop. There was a food hub filled with international cuisine, and I loved popping into the traditional butchers of Andrew Rees and Sons as I grabbed a delicious hot pork roll with applesauce. After my lunch, there was a little bit of time to wander the colourful high street filled with independent shops and boutiques, and then we made our way again to the Pembrokeshire Coast. Our first main stop in Pembrokeshire was St David's, which is Britain's smallest city near the most westerly point of Wales. It's home to the staggering St David's Cathedral that dominates the area, and it was founded in the 6th century when St David's chose this location to build his monastery. This incredible temple has been a place of worship for over 1,500 years. It has survived Viking raids, the Norman invasion, and the English Civil War, so it has an incredible story to tell you. I would recommend heading inside as entry is free, but donations are always appreciated, and you can visit the chapels, treasury, library, and the bell tower. So we've made it for our first proper stop here on the Rabbie's tour, and that is St David's, which is Britain's smallest city. It's absolutely stunning. You have a massive cathedral, and I've popped in now to the Bishop's Palace to have a look around. So just outside of St David's Cathedral, you can explore the medieval Bishop's Palace. This was built by Henry de Gower in the 13th century as his elaborate residence where he would hold feasts and host pilgrims. Today, this immense building is a romantic ruin that's owned by Cador, and it only costs $5.90 to enter. It has some of the best views of St David's and the cathedral from their tall towers. Visiting this ruin felt like going back in time, and I absolutely loved climbing up the towers, climbing through the ruins, and seeing all the old staterooms. I love ruins because I think it gives you a chance to imagine what life would have been back then. So if you have the time, definitely take a chance to visit this incredible place. After my visit to the Bishop's Palace, it was then time to climb up the steep hill and make my way back to our Rabbie's coach for our next stop in Pembrokeshire. After St David's, it was time to explore the beauty of the rugged and wild Pembrokeshire coast. We stopped at St Non's Cliffs to admire the coastline from above, and I couldn't believe the colour of the water here and some seal spotting opportunities. We then zipped over to the quaint and colourful harbour village of Solva, and here you can have a pint of brains or take a walk along the water to see the boats bobbing in the bay. Again, I loved the fact that we were in a smaller coach so we could access some hidden gem views along the way. Okay, so I've now made it to my accommodation for the night, which is the Sleepy Puffin Inn at Tenby. Tenby is one of my favourite towns in the UK. It's so colourful and it's a medieval wall town. So you'll find that the city is mostly inside the fortified walls. It's right on the coast and you have some amazing views of the coastline here. And they also have an island off the shore that you can visit. I'm really excited to have a wander around in the evening and grab some food. So yeah, let's have a look at what the beautiful and colourful town of Tenby has to offer. I thought I'd quickly mention that Rabbies can book accommodation for you on your tour, so it completely takes the stress out of finding a place to stay. My accommodation was the very cute Sleepy Puffin guest house, which was owned by the nicest couple. It was lovely, clean and comfy and was only a few minutes walk to the town, so I slept really well in their cosy beds. I absolutely love the fact that Rabbies also drop you off at your accommodation and pick you up here as well. It just means that you don't have to drag your luggage around or find your accommodation, and you can just relax and enjoy your holiday. I was so happy that Tenby was our last stop for the evening, as this meant we got to spend a bit longer here. The colourful seaside town of Tenby is one of the most beautiful places in all of Wales. It's a medieval settlement that has ancient city walls, and you can see the famous 5-arch gate before you head inside. I would definitely recommend, after you check into your accommodation for the evening, to take a wander around the colourful streets and take in all the amazing sea views. If you have time, I would take a sunset walk around the town to places like the North and South Beach, the Tudor Merchant's House and Castle Hill to get great views of the scenic St Catherine's Island off the shore. Rabbies do cover most things on your tour, but you do have to plan your meals in the evening, and luckily there are lots of amazing places to eat in Tenby. I would recommend Harbour Restaurant, which is part of the Harbour Brewery Group. They have a beer garden and I enjoyed my scampi and chips in their vine-clad secret garden terrace. The restaurant can be accessed off the colourful Sergeant's Lane with its flags, flowers, fairy lights and colourful tables. The Harbour Restaurant has an incredible pub with their own brews, and I would definitely recommend trying a few. This is honestly such a lovely restaurant in Tenby, and I would recommend booking here if you wanted something to eat. It's well worth taking a stroll through the back streets to find hidden gems such as the Tudor Merchant's House. This is a 15th century townhouse that's owned and protected by the National Trust, but it might not be open on your visit as we only get one evening here. I absolutely loved the little alleyway nearby near Plantagenet House, as it had a cute little book sign with the amazing view of the harbour in the distance. This honestly reminded me of something like Diagon Alley from Harry Potter. I then took another colourful stroll through the streets towards Castle Hill to take in the incredible views from the top. Tenby really is such a quaint and beautiful town, so it's great that you get to spend the evening here, and I really would take advantage of being able to explore. So then I made my way back to the Sleepy Puffin guest house through my favourite magical alleyway in Tenby, and I passed the Coach and Horses Inn, which is the oldest pub here if you wanted to visit. You do get a longer morning in Tenby before you set out on the road for day 2, and I would recommend getting up early and taking advantage. You can grab a coffee from Moore Bakery and then just have a look around, heading through the colourful and quirky streets and soaking in the atmosphere before you make your way back to your hotel for your second day of exploring Wales with Rabbies. So day 2, we carried on our adventures on the Pembrokeshire Coast, where we made a quick stop at Pendine Sands, which is famous for its land speed records, and you can see some old cars in the garage there. Our first main stop of the day was the gorgeous coastal town of Laugharne in Pembrokeshire. My family are originally from Laugharne, but I've never been, so I was really excited to see my Welsh roots and what this place has to offer. As soon as we pulled up, you could see the fairytale Castle Laugharne, or Laugharne Castle, that was established in 1116 as a Norman stronghold. It then became a Tudor mansion and the Brownazars Castle that was so dearly loved by the famous Welsh poet Dylan Thomas. Poetry lovers will appreciate Laugharne, as this is Dylan Thomas's hometown. You can see the locations where he wrote famous poems like Under Milk Wood. Day 2 of my Rabbie's tour here in South Wales, and we've stopped at the stunning village of Laugharne, where you can see a castle. It's also home to the Welsh poet Dylan Thomas, and I'm stood outside of his writing shed just here, and I'm hoping to catch a sight of his boathouse as well. So yeah, let's have a look at what Laugharne has to offer. So further along the coast path, you can visit Dylan Thomas's writing shed here, and you can also have a look at his boathouse. Unfortunately, lots of the attractions in Laugharne were closed on our visit, but it was still magical to take a look around this fairy tale town. After Laugharne, we then raced out of Pembrokeshire and entered the hilly countryside of the Brecon Beacons National Park. We made a stop at the dramatic stronghold of Carreg Castle, the most romantic ruin in all of Wales. It was founded in the 13th century and built on a limestone crag by King Edward I Baron John Giffard. It is quite a walk up, but it is well worth the visit. Okay, so we've now made it to Carreg Castle here near the Brecon Beacons on the way to, and yeah, it's absolutely stunning. It is a romantic ruin, but I absolutely love ruins because it gives you that chance to imagine what life would have been like back then. We're having some lunch and then we're going to be heading to the Brecon Beacons. So yeah, let me show you around Carreg Castle here. It's absolutely stunning. These views are fabulous and there's hardly anyone around. So yes, Carreg Castle is built on a limestone crag or cliff, and you can really get a feel for these dramatic views as soon as you enter. It's almost 300 feet or 90 metres above sea level, so you'll receive spectacular unobstructed views of the countryside for miles. You do have to pay £7 to enter, and it takes around 10 to 15 minutes to reach the ruins as it's on a steep hill, but I think it is well worth doing for these sweeping views, and this ended up being one of my favourite stops on our 3 days in Wales tour. We were so lucky with the weather, and the visibility from up here was incredible. You could see every peak, every rolling hill, and I just absolutely loved exploring this romantic ruin. There was lots to see inside the castle as well. I just forgot to take some videos, but I definitely recommend having a look around and reading the signs because it gives you so much history about this incredible castle. I then recommend heading down to the tea room to have some traditional lamb cawl, which is a broth, and take a peek in the stables as you may be able to see some beautiful foals like we did on our visit. After our visit to Carreg, we then made our way through the stunning wild countryside of the Brecon Beacons. On our drive through this untouched barren landscape, we got to see so many rolling peaks and babbling rivers. As the skies were so clear, we had amazing visibility. There were so many sheep grazing in the fields, and you may be surprised to know that they're allowed to roam free here, hence you'll see these amazing sheep signs. We were allowed to hop off and take some photos of these incredible wild views. Our tour then made a stop in the town of Brecon to check out Egar, or the Brecon Museum. This was traditionally an old courthouse, as you can see here, but it also acts as a history museum, an art gallery, a community library, and has an incredible tea room as well. So we spent some time exploring here. Again, this museum is completely free, but donations are always appreciated. After our visit to the museum, we had a look down Brecon High Street where you can see the famous Brecon Cathedral. There are some really lovely shops that you can visit here, like Explore Brecon Beacons, which had some incredible gifts. I also recommend heading down to the Brecon Canal Basin, as this has been voted as one of the prettiest canals in the UK. After our stop in Brecon, we then got back on the coach to wander through the beautiful Brecon Beacons and made a stop at Wales's oldest inn, or the Skirrid Mountain Inn. This pub has been standing here for over 900 years and it's also meant to be haunted, so only enter if you dare. It used to be a courthouse where trials used to take place, and this is also where the last person in Wales was hanged, and they still have an honorary noose on the staircase. We had a quick pint here in this amazing historic pub and then made our way to the last stop on day 2, which is the market town of Abergavenny. So now I've made it to my final stop on day 2, which is the gorgeous market town of Abergavenny. I'm going to be having a wander around and maybe getting some dinner, and then I'm going to be heading here for the night. Tomorrow I'm super excited because we're heading to the famous Welsh book town of Hay-on-Wye. There's over 20 bookshops there and it's going to be an amazing day again. So let's have a look at the beautiful market town of Abergavenny and then we will explore Hay-on-Wye. So again, Rabbie's organised for me to stay in the Abergavenny Hotel and it was really cosy and comfortable in my room. I had a lovely handwritten message and I loved all the rustic and boho details in the lounge area. I then took a wander around Abergavenny, which is known as the gateway to Wales. You'll find tons of restaurants here in all international cuisines. It's a bit of a food haven. And on my stroll, I saw the very colourful looking Casa Bianca, where I stopped in for a really yummy Italian seafood pasta and a lemon cheesecake before heading back to my hotel to sleep, as we had another exciting day ahead of us on our South Wales tour. So once again on day 3, I was picked up from my accommodation nice and early for another day of exploring South Wales. I was so excited for this final day as we were going to visit some of my favourite types of attractions, which was bookshops, castles and Gothic ruins. Okay, so it's day 3 of our Rabbie's tour and we've come to the famous Welsh book town of Hay-on-Wye. There's over 20 bookshops in this town and I cannot wait to show you around. So book lovers will adore the itinerary on day 3, as the first stop you get to visit is the world-renowned book town of Wales known as Hay-on-Wye. It was established by the notorious King of Hay, or Richard Booth, and there are over 20 bookshops to visit. As an avid reader, I was in my element, as you could honestly spend all day hunting down new and second-hand reads. We had just over an hour to explore here, and I'll give you some of my favourite bookshop recommendations to save time. You must visit the Book Labyrinth of Richard Booth's bookshop, which is the original flagship store. It has thousands of books in any genre you can think of. In fact, Hay-on-Wye has so many bookshops that there are even bookshops in certain genres, and another one of my favourite bookshops has to be Murder and Mayhem, which is a bookshop entirely dedicated to crime, horror and thriller novels. Even if you don't like horror novels or murder books, you must have a look at the decor in here. They have such cool artwork and lots of Dracula quotes on the walls. This is honestly one of my favourite bookshops that I've ever been to. If you love crime novels, then this is the bookshop for you. I also like the Book Labyrinth of Addyman's books, which is absolutely stunning and has a sea of orange puffin classics. Or my favourite has to be Hay Castle Honesty Bookshop, where you can pick up a book and put your donation in the box. It was market day on our visit to Hay-on-Wye, so we had a quick look around the market and Hay Castle before getting back on the road to explore more of South Wales. After we got back on the bus with all our book purchases, we made our way over to Ross-on-Wye, which is a market town in South Wales. This is where we stopped for lunch, and I do recommend popping into the Man of Ross or some of the really quirky antique shops that you can find here on your lunch stop. We then made our way into the Wye Valley, and you're probably wondering why all of the names here have Y in them, and that's due to the mighty River Wye that snakes through the county and the gorge. We then made a stop at the magical Tintern Abbey on the river that was founded in 1131 by Cistercian monks. Okay, so now we've made it to our second stop on our Rabbie's tour, and that is Tintern Abbey. Now this is a beautiful historic abbey here in Wye Valley, and I highly recommend visiting the abbey and Tintern itself. There's lots of lovely cafes, shops and a craft village as well. So yeah, let's have a look around the ruin of Tintern Abbey. So yes, this incredible abbey was founded in the 12th century and then it became a Gothic building in the 13th. It unfortunately fell during the dissolution of the monasteries under Henry VIII. Today is a majestic, roofless ruin and it's a delight to explore. You do have to pay to go inside, but I think it is well worth the admission fee as it's a huge complex with many things to see. There are signs all over the site giving you an indication of what those rooms used to be for, but I just wanted to make you aware that they are making a lot of conservation works to the Abbey at the moment, so some things may not be accessible. I don't think that ruins the visit, as you can still see many of the Abbey ruins, like the interiors of the church, which is just spectacular. Look at these archways and all the amazing blue sky that you can see through the ruins. I absolutely relished my time here and just enjoyed walking around the historic ruins in the sunshine. We had around an hour here to explore, so I just sat in the sunshine enjoying the atmosphere. It really is serene here in the Wye Valley and you can just hear the river flowing by the ruins, which is just gorgeous. As I mentioned, if you have time, make sure to have a look around Tintern as it's absolutely stunning. Due to an unexpected emergency, we did have to skip our final stop, which was Chepstow Castle, but it couldn't be helped, so we made our way back over the River Severn to Bristol to be dropped off from our 3-day in South Wales tour.
So now I'm back from the tour and I'm waiting for my train home. I really hope that you enjoyed joining me on this 3-day in South Wales tour. It was really good to go with Rabbie's. The locations we visited were excellent. I loved the fact that you didn't have to drive, you didn't have to think about parking or hotels. You just got dropped off and you could just simply enjoy. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you liked it, please remember to subscribe for more magic. See you next time. Bye.